Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, we're going to be chess detectives and tackle a retrograde problem where the goal is to figure out where this queen was captured. So this is a relatively simple retrograde problem. I know there are all levels of retrograde analysis, but because I know a lot of people are new to it, I want to show one that's not too hard just to get people into it. So let's see if we can make some conclusions about the structure of the pawns and maybe draw a conclusion about where this queen was captured. If you want to take this on your own, feel free to pause the video, try to see if you can deduce something from the structure. If not, I'm just going to go right ahead and share the answer and the way that I got there. And I will also be posting a proof game in the description, so feel free to check that out as well. It's not necessarily the most optimal way to the position, but it is one way that I did. Okay. So let's take stock of this position here. White is missing their bishops, and black is missing their bishops. And I see a couple of captures. There's a capture here on b3. There's a capture here on e6, and a capture on h6, like that. Okay, so what does that tell us, you might wonder? Well, let's start with the obvious points, and we'll work our way to the more complex points. So the obvious point is that c1 and f1, these bishops had to get captured by black's knights. So for example, this knight can come in maybe here and b3 before this pawn was here and capture and then go back out. It could even go to d3. It would be check. The king would have to move and come back, but that's possible too, right? Nothing wrong with that. So this knight, just as an example, could have jumped out, maybe went here, came here, took the bishop like that, and then retreated out, and then maybe captured this other bishop in a very similar way. So we know these bishops were captured by knights. We can conclude that because these pawns did not move, therefore they couldn't get out and get captured. Okay, we have another knight here, which means let's just call this knight this one, just for example. It could be either knight. So that means we're missing a queen and another knight. These two captures have to map to these two captures. The question is, which one maps to which? So we already know that the answer to the question, where is this queen captured, is either e6 or h6. Our goal is to find out what is that square. What is the final answer? We don't want to just guess 50-50. We want to understand why. Okay, so let's see what we got here. The knight here is right behind this pawn. This pawn was on a2 and it captured. Okay, so what did it capture on b3? Okay, well let's think about it for a second. What's missing from black's camp? This bishop on c8 and this bishop on f8. Well, b3 is a light square. What that means is it couldn't have been this bishop on f8 because this f8 bishop could never get to this square. Right? Hopefully you're still with me logically. So that means this bishop from c8 had to come out, maybe like this, and then get captured by the pawn. Right? These arrows won't make any sense because it's a dark squared bishop. It had to be the bishop on c8. Okay, that makes sense. I'm with that. But how would the bishop get out? The bishop can only get out when this pawn is out. Right? You're seeing the chain of events here? So the pawn had to get captured first, and then the bishop could get out on these green arrows, and then that would lead to the capture. And only after the capture could the queen even think about coming out, like this, maybe something like that. Right? Hopefully you're seeing all these ideas. Okay, so what got captured then? Let me get rid of some of these arrows. What got captured on e6? Well, I just mentioned to you that it has to be the knight or the queen. They have to map to these squares. Well, we know the knight had to be the one to get captured here because the queen couldn't have possibly gotten out because we just deduced that this move had to occur first. So just really quickly, if that's not making sense, just bear with me one more second and I'll see if it makes sense to you. This pawn had to capture in order to let the bishop on c8 out. Once this bishop came out, it got captured on b3 by the pawn that was on A2. Well, the only way that could happen is if it was one of these knights. So it could not be the queen. Okay, therefore, we can actually already draw a conclusion. Therefore, since we know there are two captures in the position, let me clear the color. We know that there was this capture on E6 and this capture on H6. Therefore, we know that the mapping of the queen, and we'll just say the G knight, it could be the B knight, doesn't really matter. You could loop them around like this. Either way, the point is that these two pieces, or maybe even these two pieces, the point is that one knight and the queen, we'll just say these two for now, that these map to these two captures, right? That was what I was saying. So we just concluded that this G knight, I'm going to draw a very odd arrow here, got mapped to this capture. Because, just to make sure it's really clear, this capture happened first, and then the bishop got out, and then the bishop got captured. That let the queen get out, and once the queen got out, she could go here, get captured, and that would let the bishop out if it needed to come out, and that would get captured by the knight as well. So, these arrows are looking crazy, but that's actually the answer. So the answer is this queen on D1 definitely got captured on H6. That is the conclusion we can draw. Now, I mentioned that I'm going to throw the proof game in the description, but if you want me to show it here, let me do that. I did this just a couple of minutes ago. It's not a perfect analysis, but let's just show it. This is how I did it. So I just kind of noticed that I have to get rid of these bishops. So I got rid of the bishops first, and then I first got captured on E6 because I had to make room for this bishop to escape. Okay, that's fine. So let's continue. This knight comes out. This knight is going for my light squared bishop. Gets it. Now I'm allowing this bishop to come out. I'm just killing moves for white, by the way. Now that allows my pawn to get where it needs to be. Great. That allows my queen to now get out. See how I'm doing this? I didn't go to this square. That'd be check. That's why I did it that way. And then that brings me to this square. And just like that, now I'm just clearing the board. And that is pretty much it. That last move. That's the position that I wanted to get into. So it hopefully makes a bit more sense when you see it live. This E6 capture had to be a knight, and because it had to be either the knight or the queen, we get this nice mapping of this knight got captured on E6, and this queen got captured on H6. I like these little arrows. I know they're very weird to see in a chessboard, but that's kind of it. It's not too complicated of a retrograde puzzle. I hope you were able to follow it. I know that my explanation is not perfect, but please let me know. Give me feedback. I'm trying to improve these. I think these retrogrades are so beautiful, and they're just so fun to deduce backwards and go backwards, all this fun stuff. So if you're enjoying them, let me know. Like the video, subscribe. Every single thing helps me. It also helps charity, so every piece of support is greatly appreciated. But thanks so much, and until next time.